Donald Trump has made threats against Cuba. He's made threats against Colombia now. He's made threats against Mexico. He is starting to orient his threats on Greenland, refusing to rule out military use of military force and taking Greenland and making it a part of the United States. All of that has happened this week. And all of that bluster was happening earlier on in the year too, right? But we let it go because we thought it was just them talking. But now it's becoming more real. And now there's a real concern that this administration is going to turn 2026 into the year of American aggression. Welcome back to Crayon Box Weekly. We are officially in season 3. I am your host, Carl.
And I'm Vanessa.
My co-host and best friend. And we are going to be changing a few things up this season. Specifically, we're going to start out with a different type of a structure. So I know we kind of meandered a little bit last season, and we had a couple of host changes with Vanessa finishing out the season. But this year, we're going to try to give you a little bit of a current event spiel, kind of talk to one major event every single week. And then we're going to talk through Congress, what they've done this past week and what next week looks like. And then we're going to give you a representative review. So we're going to take one senator or one representative from Congress, and we're going to talk about what they did in the first session of the 119th Congress. And then we'll break that out. Today, however, we're going to focus on 2 current events just because of the fact that this was the first week of Congress being back in session for the second session of the 119th. So a lot of administrative stuff going on this week, not really much to talk about too in depth. So we'll save that stuff and the boring, nerdy stuff for next week. But I mean, without further ado, Vanessa, go ahead and lead us off. Why don't you?
Okay. So obviously what's going on, and that's a huge thing right now, is what's going on with Venezuela, and how everybody is saying that Trump did a declaration of war without congressional approval and everything. But it's not, he did not do a declaration of war, and it is in his power to do law enforcement raids and use military personnel to do that. So it's interesting that when you read, like I was reading all about it and hearing, I'm like, well, I mean, it's in his power. He has every right to do what he did. And he's not the only president that has done things without congressional approval. I mean, if you look back in history, I mean, pretty much almost every single president has done something that without congressional approval. So I'm curious as to why it's such a big deal with what he did. And but wait, he didn't kill the person. I mean, we've had Obama. I mean, he went in and the person died, and this person came back alive. So, I mean, kudos to him. He's still alive. It's not like he went in and killed the person. So, hey, woo, high five.
Right. So, I mean, the closest comparison that we have, right, between what Trump did and what a previous administration president did was George H.W. Bush when we went into Panama and took out Noriega. In both instances, the executive branch did not necessarily inform Congress beforehand. They didn't inform them during the event, and they just kind of said, hey, we did this afterwards. Both were law enforcement, quote unquote, interactions, and both were executive actions that took place.
Yes.
The key difference, right, is what the president said in his speech to us. And this is the reason why it's such a big deal, right? So, first and foremost, just because other presidents have done it doesn't mean that it's okay for Trump to do it. It wasn't okay when they did it, and it's not okay for him to do it. But the big precedent that comes out of this, and I'm going to play the video here in a second, deals with what he said to the press when he briefed the nation on what had happened. I will add, Vanessa, I told you about this several months ago
That's in the
when
podcast.
we were talking about China.
90.
So I'm pausing it here real quick, but the man actually talks about how he wants to make sure that we are running the country, right?
I was gonna say, didn't we do the same thing in Afghanistan and Iraq? Like, didn't we go in there and then we maintained being there until they could establish a great, like, democracy? Like, isn't that what
Authorized by Congress.
Okay. Congress now he had 48 hours after he went in to to let Congress know about it, which he did. And then Congress has 60 days to decide what they're going to do, if they should continue or not. If they say pull out, then he has 30 days to pull the troops out and everything.
Correct.
So
Correct.
everything that he's done so far is legal and within his right.
Yeah. So
We may not
just
like
because
it, but he
right.
did it right.
So let me be clear about this, right? And just because that it is right doesn't mean that it's something that should. Excuse me. Just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right. Right? Process matters. Period. And what Trump did was in total violation of the Constitution, specifically Article 2. You talked about how Donald Trump had done this and how it had been done by President Obama, which also, by the way, President Obama doing the strike on the U.S. citizen in Yemen, that was absolutely abhorrent.
What does it mean?
100% abhorrent.
What does that Can we use
It was
smaller
terrible.
words?
It was
Okay.
anti-constitutional,
Right.
right?
But did everybody talk about it like they are now?
Yes.
Okay. I don't remember hearing it.
Yes, right. So listen, this argument of, oh, well, did everyone else talk about it? I don't know why you got your panties in such a wad. Listen, I got my panties in a wad because this is just one of many things that the red man has done that is very blatantly anti-constitution and anti-international, right? So you look at that, just that one piece, which is Donald Trump going in. If it had just been that one thing, and he was going in to get this guy because he was a drug dealer and he was in deep with what we are calling narco terrorists, right? Okay, cool, fine and dandy. But then he comes out and says, we're going to run it. Oh, and by the way, we're going to run it in such a way that we're going to ensure that American oil companies go into this country and reestablish the oil infrastructure because it's rusting and it's rotting. Oh, and by the way, we're going to make sure that we that we compensate the oil companies for the amount of money that they're investing into Venezuela to get their infrastructure up and going. Right? All of this has nothing to do with drugs. All of this has everything to do with oil. And then you add to that the fact that not only has Donald Trump said this, but now you have Marco Rubio, you have Pete Kegsbreath, you have Kristi Noem, you've got Miller going out, and they're all spouting this nonsense about how the United States is the predominant predator in the Western Hemisphere, and that we can do whatever we want in the Western Hemisphere because this is our hemisphere.
I mean, I can see both ways. No, I'm a big devil's advocate, and you know that about me. I know that, there's, what is it? Over 50 countries that don't recognize him as being the president of Venezuela, the US being one of them. So if the oil production places there in Venezuela are not doing well and they are rusting and their economy is going down because of their main resource that's there is not producing what it should, and things are not okay there. If the oil companies do go in to Venezuela, do start setting up for that, and then it creates more jobs for Venezuelan people, then it's I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing for Venezuela, is if they are going to help build it up and support it and allow it to be, because I know that Venezuela was almost not, it was almost like almost cutting us out of their oil production and was giving it to China and everything overseas for because of the tariffs. And I understand that, but at the same time, it's like, does it benefit the US people and does it benefit Venezuela for him going in and bringing the oil people there? Does it benefit both?
No.
How does it not?
Okay, so put it like this, right? Yes, was Venezuela selling oil to China and Iran and in Russia? Absolutely. But look at the type of oil that comes out of Venezuela. It's black tar oil, right? Like we're talking like this, when it comes out of the ground, it's gloopy, muddy, like really not the consistency that we need in order to make it usable. So it's got to be sent to a refinery. And in the region, the only country in the Western Hemisphere that has the refineries to make it usable is in the United States. And we had been sanctioning Venezuela because initially American companies had access to the oil fields. American companies were utilizing their knowledge and their expertise in order to employ Venezuelans or bring people into Venezuela in order to tap into those oil resources. They put a lot of investment there. Sure, I understand that when Venezuela nationalized the oil industry, it screwed over American companies. 100%, right? But the president isn't the president of the American economy. He's the president of the United States of America, a nation, right? And when one nation goes into another nation and says, I don't like you, I'm going to arrest you, and then imports the motherfucker into the United States, right? So we're trying to deport all these people, but we're going to bring someone in because they need to be charged. Like, so now there's a precedent, right? What's stopping Canada from coming down and arresting Trump? What's stopping
He's a president.
Russia?
He's an elected president.
And so okay, listen, just because the international community doesn't recognize this guy doesn't mean that he's not the leader of the state. He is the leader, he was the leader of a sovereign nation who was indicted in the United States for breaking laws in the United States. Now, had that man come to the United States, hands down, he's free game, arrest him. But to go into that country to arrest him for breaking laws, for the United States laws, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Which again, I go back to, what is to stop Great Britain from coming into the United States and arresting Donald Trump? What is to stop Russia from going into Ukraine and arresting Vladimir Zelensky? What is to stop China from going into Taiwan and arresting the Taiwanese prime minister? Nothing now, because we have established that it is okay to do. Because if the United States does it, the United States being the leader of the free world, then that means that it is okay for any other nation to do the exact same thing.
So let me ask you this. If this had been done differently, right? And like and I know, being in the military, there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes that nobody for probably 50 plus years are going to know about. There's things, I mean, I was just watching on, it's a Netflix series, I think it's Netflix or it's on Amazon, but it's got, it's like the CIA debriefed or whatever. And I just found out, did you know there was a nuclear bomb that like crashed in North Carolina? That's still, the warhead is still in the ground. But at the time, nobody knew that's what happened, what was going on. So I don't think that we're going to know all the like innards and like what led to him going in, because it's not like he was just like, "Hey, this is what we're doing." There was other people backing him, the FBI, DEA, different things like that that were all involved in this raid to go get him.
Think about what you just said there.
Yes.
The FBI, DEA were backing Donald Trump in his effort to go into a foreign country and seize the leader of the foreign country and bring him back,
Okay.
right? Trump's FBI, Trump's DEA
It's
that fall
everybody.
under that fall under Kristi Noem,
They also
who
fall
is
under
nothing but a talking head for Donald Trump.
but they were also under the whole thing with, it's with every president. Every president has all of those units and stuff behind them as well. So,
Okay, so you're right, but what happened in 2025 leading up to this event? Right? Like we can't keep doing this thing where we say, "Oh, well, every president, every president, every
I'm not
president."
saying every president. What I'm saying is
Because
that, like,
but you are. So every time I bring up, oh, it was it's the Trump administration, it was Trump's DEA, it was Trump's FBI. The response, and it's not just from you, but the response from anyone on the right is, oh, well, every president has control of the FBI. No, listen. What happened at the beginning of 2025 when Trump took his oath of office for the second time?
he elected people.
He nominated and got people appointed.
Mhm.
One. Two, he went through and allowed Doge to summarily fire people who had been working in these places for decades. Highly intelligent, highly capable, highly skilled employees who were functioning and managing the way that we do business, the way that we run the FBI, the way that we run our drug enforcement agencies, and got rid of them. He eliminated people who would say no to him because he knew that he had a priority and an agenda that he wanted to get accomplished. And he knew that these seasoned officers would tell him, Mr. President, you cannot legally do that. And so he fired them. He got rid of them. And so you fast forward, now you have an FBI full of Trump loyalists and lackeys. You have a DEA full of Trump loyalists and lackeys, ICE, CBP, the entire DHS. So any of the things that are coming from their mouths, I personally take with a grain of salt because the experts are gone.
So the people that are so you believe that the people that are now appointed in these positions are not educated enough to be in these positions? Right,
The
but
problem that we
do
have is that there's no one standing up to him.
right, but Mike, do you think that because of who he is, and the bias that a lot of it's almost like no matter what he does, he's gonna upset everybody. Like, I feel like at this point, like, because of the past, like, when he first came into office and everything, his first presidency, I think that, does he has good ideas to a point. I think he has very poor execution of these, valid points that, like, what he comes down to, execution has been a very downfall for him. Um, but I think that what happens is we tend to even if he did something good, if there was something bad, it's like, "Screw that good piece, we're gonna just focus on the bad." You know what I mean? Like, and I think that's where, like you said, had it have been just for the drugs, you would have been you would have understood. And that, but because of the oil and going into, try to better a country, um, it's not because, well, with the oil, whatever, however you worded it, I don't know. You use way too many big words for me sometimes, but how him wanting, going in that way, and I think that sometimes his execution is bad, but I don't think that he does it to be malicious in essence, because I don't think I don't know, I don't think that people automatically go, "You know what? I'm an evil ass person." I mean, and that's what I'm gonna
Before the before the elections, Donald Trump had a meeting with a number of major oil company executives down in Mar-a-Lago. And in that meeting, in that luncheon, he told them, if you donate X number of billions of dollars to my campaign, I will make sure that you're taken care of. Literally, word for word said that.
Mhm. I'm
Okay.
I believe that. I mean, I believe that.
He's been doing nothing but ensuring that his billionaire oil buddies have the ability to continue raking in the dough. And this was just another evolution of that process.
So, well, I don't necessarily, I mean, I don't necessarily agree with that per se. Part way because what if, like I said, I mean, we don't know what the end game or what the overall plan is for this. May just be a one step in a broader plan, where it's like, okay, we know, like, let's just say China gets a majority of their oil and everything from Venezuela. Okay, if we can limit that, it will put a damper more on China, which would kind of, and I'm just using hypotheticals. I have no idea. But so, like, let's say, that's why he did this move was yes, we used it, the drugs, saying that it was for the drugs coming in. Um, but we also did it for, to hinder China, to not let them grow and be, close to a powerhouse per se, or close to, like, where they could get, I don't know, to us. But I'm just saying we don't know the end all. Like, we don't.
I could easily take your argument and say, yeah, you know what, Vanessa, I agree with you. We need to wait and see. The problem is that Stephen Miller, Pete Kegsbreath, the DUI hire, Chrissy Nome, um, the guy who let a journalist into a signal chat between members of the National Security Council while they were talking about operational actions in Yemen,
Mhm.
having classified conversations on a signal chat, right? That person, Christy Nome, they have all come out and made comments. Oh, Marco Rubio, too, the Secretary of State, the top diplomat in the United States. All of them have come out and made comments to the tune of, we are a superpower. There's nothing you can do to stop us, and we will do what we want. They've talked, Donald Trump has made threats against Cuba. He's made threats against Colombia now. He's made threats against Mexico. He is starting to orient his threats on Greenland, refusing to rule out military use of military force in taking Greenland and making it a part of the United States. All of that has happened this week. And all of that bluster was happening earlier on in the year too, right? But we let it go because we thought it was just them talking. But now it's becoming more real. And now there's a real concern that this administration is going to turn 2026 into the year of American aggression. And that this is not the end. And it's only the beginning.
Okay. I can see that point. But what about, like, I know you brought up Colombia and everything. Think of it. I mean, Colombia is a huge, huge in cocaine. Huge. And I'm imagine most of the cocaine that comes into the US comes from Colombia and Venezuela, because Venezuela does have cocaine as well. So, like, and I know I don't know when it goes from being pure to where all of a sudden they're cutting it with fentanyl and stuff. I don't know at what point in their whole drug business that they start cutting it with that. I don't know if it's in Colombia. I don't know if it's in Venezuela. I don't know. I don't know where they start cutting it. You know what I mean? So I can see trying to cut down on that drugs coming into the US because of the fentanyl. Um, I personally, like, that makes sense to me. That makes complete sense. Is, hey, if we can cut off the head of here, the body's not gonna it's not gonna flow through the body anymore. So therefore, like, I can see going after, Colombia and stuff because of the drugs. I can totally see that. So
We went into Afghanistan because they were harboring Osama bin Laden and Al Qaeda terrorists.
okay,
And we got stuck there
they always stay there for a long time
because we decided we wanted to build that nation.
because they asked that
And,
they wanted the help to build the nation to so
well,
that
no, the United Nations told us that the only way that we could do it is if we rebuilt them up after we ransacked them.
right.
We could have done a limited operation where we just went in and took Osama bin Laden out. But instead, we went in there and we used the Afghan commanders to go in and get Osama bin Laden out. But then Osama bin Laden told the Afghan commanders, hey, I'll pay you more.
Yeah.
And they let him go.
Yeah, of course.
And it took us over a decade to find this guy. We went into Iraq for what reason?
9/11.
Nope. We went into Iraq because Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, or supposedly had weapons of mass destruction. In both of those instances, the winner, the real winner, at the very beginning was American companies because they went in and they ransacked both countries. And then we handed the keys over to those governments, and the government said, hey, you know what? We don't like you because you've basically destroyed us. We're going to go ahead and turn over mineral rights and oil rights to China. We may be the world's biggest superpower, but we don't learn from our lessons. Okay. Going into Colombia because they have drugs would turn into a quagmire for us. It would be another Vietnam, another Korea, another Afghanistan,
So
another Iraq, another Syria.
so we should just let them continue doing what they're doing?
There are levers and measures by which we can affect change in those countries that do not deal with going kinetic and going in and taking over a country.
No, I'm not saying take over, but I'm, like I don't know. I see both sides. Like I really do. I see both sides. You know that about me. Like I'm definitely can see both sides, and I play devil's advocate with you all the time. You know that. I'm pretty sure you don't like it, but that's what I do. Um, but it's just like we're never gonna know probably in our lifetime. I mean, we're 40. Like, let's be honest. And normally everything that's happening right now, normally about 50 years from the time it happens, do they start declassifying things and that people can start actually being like, oh, shoot, that's what was going on. That's what was happening. Okay, now it makes sense. But in our lifetime, we're not going to see it. I'm hoping at some point in our lifetime, we're going to actually know who shot JFK. Like that's what I'm thinking. They're going to wait to do that.
We do know who shot JFK, and it was Lee Harvey Oswald. We've known that for decades. We just refuse to accept it because of conspiracy theories that have run rampant. I mean, we landed on the moon, and people still think that we didn't land on the
I know
moon.
people still
There are
think,
people in the United States that think that the Earth is fucking flat,
yes, I know. I see. I've seen
right?
them. They have flat
But
world conventions. Our flat Earth.
I know we have entered into a period of the United States thinking that it has the ability to do whatever it wants. I mean, the Trump administration renamed the Department of Defense to the Department of War, spent billions of dollars to change letterheads from DOD to DOW, and Congress, in their appropriations, still refers to it as the Department of Defense. Why? Because the only people that have the authority, or the only organization that has the authority to change the name, is Congress.
Yeah. Does Congress I feel like they're just not doing their damn job. Like I feel like sometimes it's like Congress, what are we doing? What are we doing? Like I just want to shake the shit out of them. Like shake the whole Congress up. Like come on, let's go. Like
So they just put out their resume of actions taken under the, or resume of congressional activity that occurred during the 119th first session. Care to take a guess on how many days the Senate was in session?
25
176
out of 365.
out of 365.
My son goes
Want to take a guess on the House?
100.
167.
So that's less than my kid is required to go to school each year.
Yes.
It's interesting.
Yes.
Huh. So what do they do
Um,
with the rest of their time?
I don't know.
Like, a full-time
I don't
job.
know.
If you think of a full-time job, like, how many hours is that? Or how many days is that a year? See? So
Yeah, I haven't done the math. I wouldn't know
I'm gonna do the
the
math
answer to that question.
right now. So 5 times 52. 260. 260 days is full-time. And they were, like, 100 and what?
176 and 167.
167. So, like, that's terrible. That's like, mm, that's not good. That's not good. Like, that means that our Senate and our House are not working for us. Like, who are
I mean, they're not doing their job, right?
right.
And um, while we were away, and the reason, folks, that I don't have the ability to do a member review is because I'm still in the process of developing the app. I had a good start, but then I started fiddling with it and I made it bloated and had to start all over again. But the average missed votes, and this is just roll call votes, right? This isn't just, it doesn't include the call a vote in passage or anything like that. This is just roll call votes. The average number of missed votes in the House and the Senate was about 6 to 8. Vanessa, our representative, Congressman Greg Murphy, missed 37 votes.
Yeah, he's not very good. That's like what didn't we figure out it was like 10% of like
Yeah.
missing 10%?
Yep.
It's like, okay,
Yep.
so you only work 90% of the time. Like, like 90% of the time it works all the time.
Yep.
What the hell?
So, I mean, they're currently in their second session that started on Monday. So Monday was the first day of their new session, which will go all the way through the end of the year. Um, they are running up against a deadline at the end of this month to keep the government open again because we always have a budget fight. Um,
We throw extra stuff into this stupid bill. Like, just keep it what it's supposed to be. Why do you have to add all this extra stuff? Like, hey, let me put this in there that has nothing to do with it, and then make the rest of the government shut down because you don't want to agree to it. Leave it out. Leave it out. Put a different bill in. Like, common sense that makes sense to us. Like, it has nothing to do with the budget. It has nothing to do with it. Why put it in there? And why make it to where our military members are not getting paid? Like,
because that's just the nature of Congress, right? Like Congress hasn't passed a bill like a budget
in years.
in decades.
Yeah. It's insane. Insane.
Um,
They just keep
and it's
extending it.
because it's become a normal thing, right? We, instead of doing a budget, we do a continuing resolution. I'll add that this session, Marjorie Taylor Greene officially left. She's no longer in the House, which is good because I was not looking forward to hearing from her in the House. But there is rumors she's going to be making a bid for president.
Jesus.
Heaven help us. And then, unfortunately, a Republican from California, Doug LaMalfa, he passed away over the weekend.
Aw.
So that means that in the House, Republicans have a vote clearance of 1 to get anything done in the House. So all it's going to take is for Democrats to flip one member
Mhm.
of the House, one Republican, and they will have the ability to block things, get things passed, or anything on that end, right? And then in the Senate, we still have that 50-50 split. So it's going to be an even tighter year this year, which means Congress is going to get
You're
stopped.
sorry to interrupt. You're sounding a little robotic.
So what that means is that this year Congress is going to essentially be stopped, right? They're not going to be able to do anything to prevent Donald Trump from accomplishing his executive overreach
They're not gonna be able to,
across
or
the
they
board.
are?
They're not going to be able to. They're going to be prevented from it because of the fact that they have such tight margins. Right now, is it a possibility that um, Republicans might start slipping to the side of the Democrats and being like, you know what, dear leader Trump is someone that we don't want to deal with right now, so we're going to block him? Probably. I mean, they just tried to overturn 2 of his vetoes and failed.
Right. I don't know. I hate this whole Democrat Republican. I really do. I can't stand it. I really can't. I think it's just like, what happened to people just being fucking nice people and just doing what is right instead of, okay, I have X, Y, and Z that are in my back pocket because now I'm a multimillionaire because I'm a senator. So if I do this, they're gonna get mad and I'm gonna lose money out of my own pocket because of this. So therefore, I'm gonna stick up for them. Like, what? Like, just make it make sense. Like, make it make sense because there's no reason if a somebody is a senator and they do for 8 years, whatever it is that they end up doing, their term. If they come out a multi-millionaire, there's a fucking problem. Like, real fucking problem because they don't make that much. Like, there's no
Yeah, and that's something that we're going to look into, right? But there's already other organizations out there looking at the money that they're making, right? And I've stopped yelling because I listen. Venezuela is one of those things for me that just is a high tensioner for me, because of the fact that when I look at democratic norms, when I look at the international community as a whole, right? And I was in an interview with a guy, um, really great dude,
Did you yell at him?
huh?
Did you yell at him like you yell at me?
No, no. So I didn't yell at him. I tried to keep it kind of like mellow, but he and I didn't see eye to eye on Venezuela, and he brought up a point, and he said, I really don't care about what other nations say or think about the United States. I didn't bring it up on his show because I was trying not to be adversarial, but here's my focus or my response to comments like that. Right, the United States is only a superpower because of our allies. We are only at the capability that we have because of our what used to be our diplomatic prowess. It had nothing to do with our military, right? You and I are both veterans. The military is great. It's an extension of diplomacy, but Theodore Roosevelt's rule of walking softly and carrying a big stick is the way that is what made the United States what it was or what it is today. We would walk around and we would be nice to people,
Yeah. When people aren't nice to people anymore.
and we would talk to other countries, and we would engage with other countries in a manner that said, listen, like, we want to be friends with you, but if you don't take care of your people, if you don't stop doing bad things, we're going to have to hit you. And we don't want to hit you, but we're going to have to. And when we did that, right, it was usually done in a manner that was an international action. When we responded in World War II, when we went into to attack in World War II, we did it because we were attacked by Japan. We responded in an offensive manner to an act that hit us hard. When we went into World War One, it was because the Germans were sinking American boats,
Yeah. They were terrible.
right? So again, we didn't get involved until they brought us into it, right? It was a defensive action that showed as offense. So at the end of the day, when the United States goes on the offense because they're defending themselves, we usually do pretty well. But when we go on the offense because of political means, we don't fare so well. Vietnam, Korea, Afghanistan, Iraq.
So you feel that those were failed wars?
Hands down. And we failed because of the fact that, and I mean, we failed in all of those wars because of the fact that we had political objectives. And traditionally political objectives are objectives that are not as solid or firm, and they change all the time. And you wind up getting mission creep. And when you get mission creep, you become less effective because you don't really know what you're doing.
Right.
You're just there.
Yeah, it got to the point where people didn't know why they were there. I mean, like, I was literally thinking about it the other day. People that are joining the military now, they have no idea what September they were not alive for September 11th. Like, my mind is blown at that point because 'cause I'm like, "Really? You don't know?" Like, I know where I was on September 11th, I'll never forget it. But
Mhm.
it's like they don't know. And, I can imagine that there were some that, joined and they were like, "Oh, well," like, I know my personal opinion, I joined after September 11th because of September 11th, like, that was my reason for joining the military. And to now just look back and see, like, people are like, "Well, I don't know, I wasn't alive when September 11th happened," or, but they're serving our country, like, to me, it's just it's interesting, and it so ages me, and I know I'm like like, I know how my mom felt when she would tell me stuff, and I'm like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." So
Yeah, I mean, and so that's kind of where we sit right now, right? We're in this little bubble, and I am very concerned about 2026 being the year of American aggression. I am concerned about the fact that we have an administration that thinks that they can just do whatever they want because they're a superpower.
mhm.
I'm concerned about the fact that we have bombastic individuals like Donald Trump sitting in the Oval saying, let's restart our nuclear weapons testing programs.
Let me stop with that because, like, at the end of the day, like, the nuke like, Einstein said it the best, is that the only way that if we continue down the path that we're going to, it's gonna lead to ultimate destruction of the entire place. The only way to prevent that is peace. And
Hmm.
he was the smartest man that ever lived, as far as well, Stephen Hawking. I mean, he's pretty smart too. But you know what I mean? Like, if we can't see that and we wanna start back up our nuclear the uh, one person shoots a nuke, everybody else shoots nukes, you know what happens? We all die. Like,
Hmm.
there's nobody surviving this. Like, why have a weapon that at the end of the day will kill everybody? Like, that makes no fucking sense to me. Like, don't do it. Like,
Um, and then I guess the way that we can kind of close this out with the why, right? And folks, I know that we mentioned doing two events, and Vanessa and I got stuck on Venezuela. Um, but the long and the short of it is that this week has felt like a very long week. You had the Venezuela incident over the past weekend, and then ICE murdered an American citizen as she was trying to drive away out of fear for her life.
I watched the video, and I watched multiple angles of the video, of the shooting and everything. When you were the one The one officer is trying to open the door while the vehicle and she starts moving the vehicle. There is a guy in front of the vehicle, when she starts to pull forward. Um, as anybody, I mean, I don't necessarily think categorizing her as a domestic terrorist was correct. I think that she was moving her vehicle, and at that point, when you're moving your vehicle, it is considered a deadly weapon. And like, I can't put myself in the shoes of the person that was there, and say, like, what he was thinking. Because I mean, it's when you're in law enforcement, it's about a split-second decision that you make, when you are doing that. And people have focused on that he unholstered his weapon. When a vehicle is moving and a police officer is holding the door, they are allowed to unholster their weapon. They are allowed to pull the weapon to say, "Hey, stop." Um, with her pulling forward at it, I mean, all she had to do was jerk that wheel really, like, just a little bit, and she would have ran him over. Because you can see in it where he does jump out of the way of it. I don't know what went through his mind. I don't condone that people dying. I but I also think that she also held a responsibility as well to herself and to her life to not move your vehicle. Like, don't move your vehicle. Like, if they told you to stop, just stop. Even if you're scared. I mean, there's times where you're scared, but just stay there. Like, okay, so and I can't put myself in her position, but you're moving a vehicle while police officers are around, and he was in front. There's different types of angles. Whenever you're in that moment, whether you're in flight or fight, you know, some people have a fight or flight response. Some people have a freeze response. When you're so I don't know what went through his mind. They are doing the investigations and everything, but like I was saying, that former FBI person, it could be that he has a right to protect his other agents that are around him as well. So, if while he's trying to open the door, what if his hand got stuck or whatever, and then he's being dragged by the car, the other person, not the guy that was in front. So there's all different scenarios that could have happened for that moment. And eh, eh, I don't know why he fired or whatnot, and it'll go through the investigation, or if had he in the past had one of his agents where they had opened the door and got dragged by the vehicle because it was taking off, at that I don't know what his past has happened that could have led to the fact of him discharging his weapon.
Okay. So you're right. I did see it. I saw where he was in front of the vehicle. Um, and here's what I'll say, right? You are giving all of this like, oh, well, what about this and benefit of the doubt, blah, 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 blah. What about the woman in the car?
I like I said,
You have masked men approaching your vehicle with weapons. You are a woman. What is your reaction going to be?
I know
Is your
exactly what my
reaction going to
reaction.
be to allow it to happen? Or is your reaction going to be to get the fuck out of there?
I can tell you exactly what my reaction will be because I know, like, my reaction, I freeze. I freeze in any situation. I freeze. I don't fight. I don't flight. I freeze. I know that's my response to things. I'm just like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing nothing. I'm not saying her moving, that could have been her response to it. She had a flight response, and I understand that. And it could have been that she was looking this way, didn't even see the car in front of the police in front of her, probably wasn't even like aware of her surroundings. And it's horrible that she lost her life. I feel exactly awful, completely awful that she had lost her life. And I think that honestly, in the whole grand scheme of things, like, we don't know what went through her mind. We will never know what went through her mind. We don't know if she was just looking this way and was trying to get away from who's ever here and didn't even see the person in front of her. And her, I mean, which benefit of the doubt, I'm going to say, no, she did not see the person in front of her. She was listening to and probably looking this way and was like, what the fuck is going on? you know, but I don't know why her car was sideways, like, I don't know why she was parked sideways and blocking, cars from coming through. I don't know. I have no idea why what happened prior to everything, because, of course, when we get bystanders, they're not gonna record what happens before. Most of the time, they're gonna be like, "Oh my god, something's happening, let's record this." So, you know
Right. And context matters, right? So that is the one part of the story that I will say that, it's we don't know that aspect, right? But from the point of view that I have, right, from what I've seen of the driving, from what I've seen of the fact that um there were masked men walking up to this vehicle and understanding that there is a tendency for people to be afraid and respond in a manner that is out of fear. There is also the fact, and this we can get into this discussion later on in the year, where I fundamentally believe that law enforcement reacts and utilizes deadly force more than they should.
yeah. My
So end of the day, right? Like that right there, what happened should never have happened. ever.
You're right, but at the same time, now take a step and devil's advocate again, huh? Um, you're the police officer in the front, and you don't shoot, and she does run you over, and she does kill you. At that point, like that's a legitimate fear that can happen with police officers. I mean, that's why when they pull you over, they touch the back of your car. They put their prints on it. There's many different reasons why they do the way that they do. They stand outside of your window area so that they can look in. Most of them don't come around and like jump into your window, like there's different ways that they handle it. So I can't say as a, police officer if somebody is driving their car at me, they're trained. I mean, they're trained split-second decisions to make, and is it always the best decision that they make? No, but if there is a car and I'm in front of it and it's coming at me and I have that weapon in my hand, I can't tell you I wouldn't shoot. You know what I mean? Like, I can't say that I wouldn't do the exact same thing that that man did. Um, and I can't say that as I can I can say because I will freeze. I will freeze and I will not move. I would just be like, "What is going on?" But I think that like we will not know her reasoning because she did not make it. We do have the officer and they are going to investigate him and they are going to talk to him and find out, hey, like, what made you take these steps? Because anytime that police officer does discharge his firearm, they do have to go through an investigation to see what led up to it. What was your reasoning behind it? And if they find that he is at fault and it was not justified, then it will come back on him. And I think that's where it's sad for everybody that's involved, because somebody's life ending at such a young age. I think she was like 30 something,
34.
34. Like, that's such a young age. And it's like, like she could have been freaking out. I mean, very much well could have. And, and the cop was probably like, "Yo, I'm right here in front of you. Like, you backed up first and then now you're coming forward." So both sides, it's a shitty situation for both involved. And I think that at the end, as American people, we tend to, and I'm not saying that we need to just side with the victim and we need to just side with the perpetrator. I think that in this situation, we need to put ourselves in both situations and see it from both sides. How could this have gone differently? How could this have, played out differently? How could we have prevented a death from happening?
By not pushing ICE into American cities,
But
by not militarizing the Department of Homeland Security,
you can say that, but it happens even when there's not ICE.
by
It happens with
not
police.
having mass deportations of American citizens and non-documented citizens.
But that's not 100% gonna prevent anything like that.
It would have prevented this one.
Okay, and that's where you see it differently. I see that, you know what, those agents, regardless of what they have, that's their job. Like, that's what their job is. And do we always agree with what our job is? No. Do we always do our job? Yes, because we have bills to pay. So I always do my job. I may not agree with it. I may not like what I do, but at the end of the day, it's their job, and they probably have families that they have to support too. So do I feel like we shouldn't have? Hold on.
The fact that they were there is people like um, Christy Nome, puppy killer, and Donald Trump, the orange puppet. So like those are the people that are at fault for having this situation occur, right? They're the ones that put these people there.
Yeah,
It's their fault.
poor execution of, the deportation that they're doing. I think that it but I don't know, I just see, like, if you are like, she was an American citizen, correct? Okay, so why would why was she running? Like, I guess it's my like, maybe it is.
Because there were masked men approaching her vehicle. She's a lesbian. Her wife was in the car with her,
Okay,
watched it all go down. She was running for her life. That was fear. She was afraid.
okay. So, I can see
She was afraid.
I can see her being afraid, I can see, and it just like, we all make rash decisions with things that we do. Could it have been her adrenaline going and like, "What is going on?" and just, "Let's go with the gas"? Could be. Could have been a number of different things. Her wife is there, or girlfriend, whichever one. Like, I don't care about someone's sexual orientation, you you know.
So again, you don't
I know
care,
I don't, but
right?
there are people that
But
do.
she's in Minnesota, right? And Minnesota isn't necessarily the most forward progressive state, right? I mean, it's probably more progressive than North Carolina, but it's not the most forward progressive state. And there's still the issue of masked men, right? So again, you and I are going to go back and forth on this one. At the end of the day, it's a wait and see moment. We have to wait and see what the investigation produces.
Right.
Um, However, it's just this incident alone is going to increase tensions.
100%. I agree 100% it is, and it's gonna cause because um isn't it a couple blocks away is where, the Floyd guy died?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's same state. Same state. It's like, and I mean, literally, like, the same town. Like, this is gonna cause a whole bunch of, protests and everything, and that's fine. Listen, if you feel the need, protest. Do a peaceful protest. Let's not do these riots. Like, the riots, yelling, anger never gets anywhere. You will lose your listeners 95% of the time when you are angry and yelling.
On that note, we are going to try to have more structure over the next year. This first episode, it's a little on the long side. Bear with us. Tune in. In addition to the weekly episodes, we're going to give you a once a month interview with an individual. Our first one aired with Dr. Cardell earlier this week. So please go over and give that one a listen. It doesn't matter where you fall out on the topic of capitalism versus socialism. He makes some pretty decent points. And I would very much be interested in having you listen to that one and maybe reaching out to us and letting us know, hey, I don't agree with this individual. But the idea is we're bringing in the SMEs, people who know more about these fields than myself or Vanessa. And we're going to allow them the chance to actually talk about their specific issues or topics that they want to talk about, with us acting as a mediator. Right now, it's just me, but hopefully soon we'll be able to bring Vanessa in and we can have like me and Vanessa and the guest. So we'll see how that works out. But that being said, I think that's all we've got for this week. Make sure that you tune in next week.
Yes. Same time, same place, right here.